Hey guys, greetings and salutations. This is James again. Thought I'd make another video. You know, I'm not sure if you can read my sweater here, but it says, "When I die, do not let me vote Democrat." And that has a lot to do with what my video is about, actually. It's really just talking about my journey as a black conservative. You know, I think I made one video regarding my conservative values, but I actually want to just get a little bit more into that whole concept because it's been a journey, and it's a lot more that I've been learning since my coming out as a conservative back in 2020. You know, it's interesting because I had absolutely no idea that there was even a war between Americans when it comes to their I'm going to say political views. I had no idea how serious this war was, and it wasn't until I came out as a black conservative in 2020 when I realized that this was actually some type of ongoing battle that I just had really engaged in. And I think the first the first sign really was back in 2020 when I just realized that a lot of the things that President Trump was really expressing, in regards to his policies, his philosophy, embracing being a patriot in America, I really, a lot of what he was saying was resonating with me. So I learned over time that a lot of the things he was sharing and a lot of things that other people were sharing in regards to the conservative Republican perspective, I valued. I valued, human life, in the womb, so I can't, imagine somebody who's especially identifying as a Christian that could support the idea of destroying babies in the womb, regardless of excuses or justifications. That's an awful thing to even consider. Could you imagine the idea of a society that we live today, actually justifying destroying children in the womb? It's something that is despicable. It's despicable, and it's sad because there are people that I know that identify as Christians and even believe that in some respects even conservatives that actually agree that there are some cases where it's okay to dismember a child in the womb, which I think again is horrendous. It's horrendous, and we have to understand and we have to keep in mind, this is something that I've had to keep in mind, and this is what my first video really was about, was really just understanding that there is no conservative Republican values if you're not building on a biblical standpoint. You have to build your understandings, your even whatever it is that you support in regards to foreign policies and all these other things, based on the Word of God, even down to the death penalty and all these other things. We have to keep in mind, we have to have a foundation that we're using, a standard that transcends human opinion and is provided by God. Now, one of the things that I also learned in regards to coming out as a conservative is people from my own family and my own community started to reject me. I'll never forget that whole year of 2020 when Black Lives Matter was burning down cities and things like that, which I thought was crazy because I knew people in my community that supported that. And I'm trying to figure out, like, they're sometimes destroying black businesses, and I don't understand, how is it Black Lives Matter but we're destroying our own communities? I don't get it. How does that work? And it was just so crazy how there's so many people that I don't know if I want to say influenced or indoctrinated or what by this mindset of black people and people in the black and brown community are oppressed in America, when there are so many different studies that have shown, or even just success rates. And when you just look around you, there are wonderful doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, people that are successful, celebrities that are from the black and brown community in America, and it's almost like ignoring them, and making it seem like we're oppressed when we're not, And I think I may not agree with people like LeBron James and Barack Obama and many of these other Oprah, but they are demonstrations that if you're black, you can make it in America. You can make it, and I'm really lost when it comes to why there are so many people that are indoctrinated by the idea that black people can't get ahead. And the thing is, the only thing I see that or element that really is holding black people from success in America is black people. It's black people. Okay, and I think that there's this idea that we have to constantly point the finger at the white community or America or the white man or the government. And yeah, the government definitely has not helped black America, but yeah, the worst enemy is black Americans against black Americans. even when it comes to the homicide rate. You know, the likelihood of me being killed by another black man is very high statistically, you know, which is sad to say, but there are a lot of, you know, people that support these leftist movements and these ideologies that they don't really want to hear that. They don't care about the data behind that. You know, they want to go forward with the idea of police brutality and the police officers are, you know, destructive to society and hunting down black men in the streets. When there's no data to actually show that. In fact, the likelihood of a white man dying by police is actually, you know, statistically higher. You know, so I really don't understand a lot of these things. And it's funny because as I started to express myself a little bit more openly when it came to my political views back in 2020, I actually had people that I knew start defriending me and blocking me from social media. Even people in my own family started to look at me strangely, you know. I have one of my relatives that actually helped raise me. Every time I visit, sometimes they look at me like, oh, here comes the black Republican. And I'm thinking like, why is it that all of a sudden, since I don't agree with other, you know, ideologies or a person's ideologies, now there's a problem? And it's very strange how there's this impression that when you have Republican, conservative, you know, more on the right perspectives and ideologies, that somehow you're associating with races, when it's the Democratic Party that actually started, the KKK. And so I'm confused why there are so many people blindly signing up for, you know, these ideologies without even doing any research. It's almost like it's a word of mouth type of blind faith that, hey, if you are, you know, sided with the left, you know, Democrats and these other ideologies, that you're fighting for peace, you're fighting for the good guys. And, you know, there's no data really showing that. I really admire the fact that there are people like, you know, President Donald Trump that really demonstrates that not you know, America still has hope, you know. And to be honest with you, I felt incredibly privileged to be alive after, you know, the inauguration of you know, Joe Biden. I actually felt privileged that I lived, you know, during a time period where I actually experienced a president that actually loved America, you know. And I'll be honest with you, I became a little teary-eyed as well. Little teary-eyed. I said, wow, I experienced 4 years of a president that actually loved America, you know. All his policies, everything that he was doing, his speeches were gearing towards, you know, really empowering Americans and reminding us that we should be privileged to be here, that there's so many opportunities, and depending on if we're willing to put in the work, we can accomplish anything. Like, that's the type of message we need to hear from a president. Somebody that other foreign leaders respects and knows that if you, you know, cross the line, you're gonna feel something, you know. So I don't know. I just, you know, I really, you know, enjoy the commentators, you know, political commentators like, you know, of course, you know, we have Ben Shapiro. You know, I really love the Daily Wire and what they're talking about when it comes to, you know, not only foreign policies, but really just speaking about things from a practical standpoint, you know. Or all these other like black Republican conservatives, you know, Candace Owens. I think she does a wonderful job forming Blexit with Brandon Tatum. I love listening to what they have to say. I may not agree with everything, but I agree with most of the things that they're saying, you know. And I love that they have strong minds and they really demonstrate that America is not racist, that you can still move forward and influence people for the best and, you know, work in the favor of black Americans as well. I appreciate people like Larry Elder. I mean, he's somebody I would love to meet in person. I really admire how strong his mind is, you know. I'm going to have to actually buy some of his books. Dr. Ben Carson, Dr. Condoleezza Rice, Thomas Sowell. You know, there's all these different people that are demonstrating that, you know, they're black Americans, they're intelligent, you know, and I just love that they don't succumb to the victim mentality. And because I refuse to do that as well, I have felt that in my community and specifically with certain family members, I'm rejected. I'm rejected as well, you know. And it's interesting because when you come out as not only a Christian, but you have conservative values, it's fascinating to see how people respond to you, you know. And I live here in California, so, you know, that's a whole dynamic in itself. It's like, you know, I will purposefully, when I go to Disneyland, wear political shirts like this, and people are uncomfortable with some of these messages because they're like, hey, what are you doing? This is California, you know, like this is like, you know, liberal, leftist, central, you know, this is like all the out of whack ideas that are really, you know, coming out, you know, that are just not aligned with reality, often come from places like California. So for someone to stand up and be a patriot and be a conservative, to have Republican values, and most importantly, Christian values, yeah, it's like antithetical to what, most of the state is actually doing, so it's really fascinating to me. One of the things I also want to address is, I think it's important to keep in mind that, as someone comes out as, conservative, and especially when you're, in the, black and brown community, there's a lot of misinterpretations that take place, One of the most strange situations, but almost kind of sad situations happened some years ago. I'm going to say maybe, 4 or 5 years ago. I was working at a preschool at the time, and one of my friends that, she has a Mexican background, and really nice, really cute little, young lady. We always talked about amazing ideas of, working with children, and we were at a preschool together, and one of the people that I really looked forward to connecting with. She's really cool. She told me about her boyfriend at the time. She's married now, but I remember she had me on social media, and I posted some things that, was saying that I'm not really for people crossing the border and, just illegally, which as an American or anybody, I think, I can't support the idea of people, breaking the law, like how dare a family or any person think that their family is more important and they can, jump across some type of border versus the other people that are in the background trying to do it legally. Like, I think it's very arrogant to break the law and say, well, hey, I'm going to come before the people that are legally, paying the specific fees for, the whole process, studying how to, to get this exam right, and just cross over while these other people are trying to do it legally and waiting 2 years and 3 years, So it's like, of course I don't agree with that stuff, but I've posted a lot of those ideas about I don't approve of that, I think it's criminal behavior to just do that, And that's for anything. It's like going in somebody's house. It's like unannounced. You don't do that. You don't do that. But I remember one day at work, she started to act very funny with me, and I was trying to figure out what was going on, what was happening, And I remember the second day rolled around, and she also still talked to me, but it was a different tone. She was very, she's kind of standoffish a little bit. And I remember after that second day, she was walking me to my car. We left our school. We were walking to our cars at the end of the day, and she said, James, she's short Mexican girl, really, really nice lady, somebody I considered a friend. And she said, well, James, I just want you to know that, just because my family, brought me here, illegally, I'm not a criminal. And I looked at her like, what? What are you talking about? And then she said, yeah, I seen on your Instagram, you posted like, people shouldn't be doing this. And, and she somehow twisted that, I was calling her specifically, a criminal. And I had to clear that up with her and explain to her that, no, I'm not saying you're a criminal just because your family illegally snuck you in, but yeah, we shouldn't be doing that, But yeah, it's not like you had any authority over that. So, I wanted to kind of clear that up, and I hugged her and assured her that, yeah, I know, she misinterpreted what I was sharing, But I just thought it was really interesting how when you stand up for things and you have, conservative Republican values, more specifically Christian values, then yeah, you're like opposing the culture. You're opposing the, you're opposing like even some of the people around you, And I even feel for people, in the white Caucasian community that have these Christian conservative values as well, because you guys are under attack as well, And it's something that I think is really sad. It's pitiful that this is what our world has come to. But I also feel that it's worth fighting for. The things that we stand for, and I'm primarily talking about biblical principles, but applying those biblical principles into politics, and I think that we should all keep in mind that, even for me, I'm just going to say this and kind of start ending the video, but I initially thought that politics were something that was too sophisticated for someone like myself to get involved in. I thought my job was just to be a Christian and that's it. But I understand now, looking back at the founding fathers of our great country, the United States, I see that, being a Christian is being involved in politics. I think it's very foolish for someone to think, well, hey, yes, I'm a Christian, but I'm not going to have anything to say about, immigration or, abortion, or who should be our president, or who should, the laws that the legislator is presenting to us. Like, I think it's important that we understand that we are a part of this country as well, and we have the responsibility to know what's going on. You know, so I think it's just important to keep up with the news and, you know, be selective of even what type of news that you really consume. You know, there's a lot of, you know, and it's interesting because I used to blindly agree with whatever the news was presenting to me until Donald Trump during his 4 years was reminding us that there are fake news channels. They don't share actual news. They don't share information objectively. You know, they always share their opinions, they share their thoughts, they distort things. And you know, even when Black Lives Matter was burning down cities and, you know, the mostly peaceful protests, you know, idea, I just thought, wow, this is real. This is real. So you have to be very selective with what kind of information that you entertain, you know, in your life. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'll probably unpack a little bit more about, you know, what it is I'm learning as a conservative. I just kind of wanted to rant a little bit because I think it's important that there are other people in our community know that just because you're from, you know, maybe a state that's considered blue and, you know, you are in the black and brown community or whomever it is you are, it's okay to come forth. You have other people that are with you. And if you guys want to, you know, hit me up, I'll leave my information on my YouTube channel, so you guys hit me up on Instagram or even Facebook or whatever else. Okay, God bless you guys. Thank you for hearing me. Okay, and let's go strong, Patriots.